please don't ever forget, I have a whole website, davidpendergrass.com. It's full of other information. I have a Twitter account, Dr. D. Pendergrass. I can send you encouraging texts for free. I'll go to davidpendergrass.com and see all the information there. It can be difficult as a Christian to know what to do with our money. And there are all kinds of good books out there to read, but I encourage you, if you want something short and sweet and to the point, check out my book, Give It Away, on Amazon.com. It's very cheap. Go there today to get Give It Away, and it's a wonderful study to use in small groups. It has discussion questions and reflection questions ready to go. It's a 4-week study on how the earliest Christians used money and their possessions.
Have you read A Skeptic Challenges a Christian yet? This is Dr. David Pendergrass's amazing book. If you've not read it, you can get it on Amazon. And you could even buy one for a friend. Grab a copy and read it today.
Hey, it would help me a whole lot. If you like these podcasts, let people know about it. Just share the link. Just share the link. What would Jesus do? He would share the link. That's what I think. I think he would do that. Let people know about A Glimpse of the Kingdom today. Hello, thank you for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. I am David Pendergrass. I cannot overemphasize how important beliefs are. Beliefs are overwhelmingly important. I know you might think David's trying to oversell it, but I'm not. I'm really I'm not. One of the most influential and ubiquitous therapeutic processes now that therapists use and we get trained in is called cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT it's a goal-oriented therapy, psychotherapy, meaning that, and that's a long story, sorry, I'm not going to bore you all the details. You can do your own research. But not all therapy is goal, where you're trying to do little projects and have some relief from anxiety, from depression, from worry, from fear. CBT is goal-oriented, so you can get relief from certain things. And as the title, which is a great title, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy talks about, you're changing, it's called cognitive restructuring. You're changing the way you think about something, which then, of course, changes your behavior. And they go together. Your thinking and behavior go together. And it can help. I mean, drug and alcohol abuse, depression, I've told you, worry and anxiety, all kinds of stuff. Well, CBT works to change a person's attitude, their behavior, by focusing on several things: thoughts, beliefs, attitudes that affect the way a person behaves, that affect the way that a person thinks and so forth, but particularly with the behavior. I really want to focus on, and they all matter, but I want to really focus on something: beliefs. I say this because this has been by far one of the most influential therapeutic tools I have used counseling people for years and years. And I've used it on myself. I mean, you can buy books and workbooks on how to do CBT to yourself, and I highly, highly recommend it. For example, the one I have liked the book. I've read through all kinds of books, but this one was one of my favorites because it's readable and very useful. It's called Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Made Simple. Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Made Simple, and it's by Seth Gillian. He might say Gillihan. I'm sorry. Maybe, I don't know how he pronounces it, but Seth Gillihan. Cognitive Behavioral Therapy Made Simple. On Amazon, you can get it for $10. So anyway, I mean, $10. It's worth, I'm being a commercial right now, but it's worth it. So anyway, cognitive behavioral therapy is very important. I have used it in my counseling of other people for over 15 years, and it's been one of the most useful devices you can use. And of CBT, the one thing I really want to focus on today are beliefs. If you can think of an iceberg, and most people know what an iceberg is, and this is the old analogy, but for various things, but it's true. The iceberg, of course, the tip of the iceberg, or the top that appears outside of the water, is, of course, like a big fat ice cube. It mostly floats. It doesn't all float above the water. Most of the iceberg is beneath the water. In a very similar way, You and I are just like the iceberg. There are two major things going on in the mind. Now, I know this is overly simplistic, but I'm trying to be. I'm sorry. If you've got CBT training and you're a licensed therapist, you're going to say David's missed out on all kinds of factors. There are systems in place, and there are relationship issues, and physical and biochemical. I'm with you. I agree. I'm just trying to make this real simple, this particular podcast, on purpose, because I'm really trying to hone in on this very particular issue. There are two major processes going on in the mind all the time. There's the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. The iceberg is like that. The conscious mind, if you're myself, consciously is the small part on top. Beneath the surface is the unconscious. It is I'll call it subconscious. Of course, it's beneath conscious, which means it's there, but you are not conscious of it. You are not aware of it. Now, don't let that throw you if you're not accustomed to talking like that. So if you say, wherever you're listening to my podcast right now, headphones in a room, if you look around, if you're looking around or listening to this, you are conscious of what I'm saying if you're paying attention. You're conscious if you're sitting down or running or walking, or it's what you can say. If you describe to a person, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You might say, I'm doing this, 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 this. I'm conscious of those things. You have first-person subjective awareness of that. And that's the proof that there is such a thing as consciousness, that you're not just a robot, you're not just a bunch of chemicals in motion. You can say, no, I am aware. And here's exactly what I'm experiencing. Here's what I'm thinking. I can't go to a microscope and examine your brain. I can't put you in a scan. I cannot tell in your brain what you are thinking. I can't tell you exactly what you're perceiving. If you're dreaming, imagining, I have to ask you. That's how it works, because it's not biochemical. It is the mind. Okay. Anyway, there's a lot about philosophy there. That's the conscious. But here's my point. So much of what we experience in our emotional state is driven by beneath the surface, the ice beneath the water, or the subconscious. The subconscious is full of thoughts, beliefs, dispositions that are there all the time. All the time. And I want to focus on one particular thing of what beneath the subconscious, and that is beliefs. A belief is a fixed view on a particular thing. And we have beliefs about everything. You have a belief about Santa, a belief about God, a belief about spouses, a belief about gravity, a belief about how your car works, or trucks, or your bikes, or whatever. You have a belief about it. You have beliefs that are true. That is, you have a belief that a particular vehicle is your vehicle. And that's a true belief because it corresponds with reality. You also have an enormous amount of false beliefs. False beliefs are learned just like true beliefs are learned. We learn them from experience. We learn them from giving interpretation to past events. We learn them because people taught us. So many people who are racist were taught racism by their parents. Or perhaps when they were younger, a person of a different race or color of their skin, how you want to say it, maybe they got robbed, and thenceforth they decided very, very quickly, and maybe might even argue subconsciously, they decided that people of that race cannot be trusted. So if a Hispanic person broke in your house, you might have developed the belief that Hispanic people can't be trusted. They're dangerous. If a man or woman raped you, you might have developed the belief that the opposite sex is danger. Many, many, many lesbians are in a lesbian relationship because they were raped or molested by a man. A lot of them will tell you that. A lot of people who are obese, morbidly obese, will say, I'm this obese because I believe that it will make me safe. If I'm overweight, no one will touch me. Why does that matter? Because when I was a child, I got touched inappropriately. And I believe that. And so beliefs can be true, beliefs can be false, but we all have them. We all have these beliefs, and I cannot overemphasize how important this is. Beliefs will surface in feelings. They'll surface in this kind of behavior, physiological behavior. They can surface in habits. For example, back to my analogy, or my example of beliefs. If you think Hispanic people are scary or dangerous, you might behave a certain way by walking on the other side of the sidewalk. You might want to hold your purse or hide your wallet because you believe certain things. If you believe a certain person's trustworthy, you might deliberately go toward them, and your body language will show it, almost always. When you believe a person is safe or friendly, you'll put your arms down. You'll show gesticulation or hand motions that show that your body is open. If you feel a little self-conscious or a little bit in danger, or maybe you're intimidated, you'll find yourself hiding part of your body with your arms or legs. People do this with their faces as well. People who are intimidated or scared, they believe they're nervous, anxiety-producing. They'll walk, instead of standing in front of a person, they'll stand to the side of a person. I've done this with a person before. I've done it before. I deliberately kind of keep moving in front of them, and they'll move to the side, and move in front of them, move to the side, move in front, and we end up spinning in circles because they refuse to stand in front of me. You'll meet some people who believe that if they're not dominant, they are in danger. So they will come into you right up in your face, and they won't move, and they'll stare you in the eyeballs, and they'll put their shoulders back, and they'll kind of puff up their chest. I've seen women do this, girls do this, I've seen men do it, and boys do it. So I'm telling you, behavior is so much driven on what you believe about the person, about the experience, about reality. Let me say a few things about that, because I'm trying to help you. And if you want, well, I'll say more about this later, but if you want help, I offer counseling and life coaching, and I'd be happy to help you. One way to help you to figure out what you believe is typically in counseling, not always, but typically in counseling. Most people come and see me, whether it's in person or whether it's online through website or phone or video chat, whatever, because something's going on in their lives that they don't like. Something. They're either stressed out, they're anxious, they're depressed, they're worried. Some kind of symptom like that is going on. Some kind of symptom, anxiety is going on, and they say, well, I need help to stop this. And that's fine. That's great. I'm always very, very thankful that a person is actually seeking help, because that's what healthy people do. If my leg were swollen and blue and brown, and I go, I got it all figured out, to me, that's just not, it's dumb. Go talk to a medical professional. There are people who train to help your leg. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I know why. It's because people who usually suffer from pride or deep insecurity of being judged by a counselor. There's all kinds of reasons why a person will be afraid to do that. But whatever your reason is, I'm encouraging you, your reason is probably not a good reason for not seeing a counselor or talking to a therapist. Whatever your reason is for not doing it, it's probably not good. Probably not. So they come to me and we go, what's going on? Now, I won't tell you every single thing because it would take a long time. But here's some tips. When you see that symptom or anxiety, keep asking the so what. What are you scared of? What are you anxious of? Well, I'm scared about blah, blah. And I always say, and that's bad because why? Or that matters because why? Well, because if that happens, then blank. Well, if that's bad because what? Well, if that happens, then blank. Well, if that matters because what? Well, blah, blah, blah. Every single time we do this, eventually you're going to get to the point where you say, there is no more because. I've hit rock bottom. That rock bottom, that's your anxiety-causing belief. That is your anxiety-causing belief. Attack it. And I'll talk about it in a second. You've got to get to the root to figure out what the belief is. Sometimes you can do it very quickly. Sometimes on your own, you can never get to it. I know some people, they're not used to this. They're not good at it. And they just need a counselor or someone to help them do what I just did. And that's perfectly fine if you need the help. That's okay. Get the stinking help. Some people can do this on their own. Great. Well, it took me a long time to get good at it myself, but now I am. I mean, personally, but that's taken years of training. But if you don't have that, fine. But it's the same for everybody. You've got to get out of that rock bottom belief. You've got to get down there. You've got to get down there. And I said attack it. I'm going to come back to what to do about it in just a second. Let me give you an example. In the last 4 months, my truck has just been, bless its heart, it's been beaten up. And my father-in-law accidentally rammed in the front of it. It was in the driveway. And then it took, a month or more to get repaired. And the people who were repairing it broke the mirror. They were checking a sensor for and on a part that wasn't even injured, as it were, and they broke it, and then they had to go on order, then a back order, and then it got fixed, and then it doesn't fold correctly, so now another mirror is on back order, and while it's on back order, someone rammed to the back right side of my truck. I found out on accident. A guy chased me down to Walmart and said, "Man, is that your truck? I help do dent repair." I'm like, what is he talking about? Later on, discovered there's a big dent in my truck. So it's just been 4 months. Well, after this last dent and that and the mirror issue, there was one night, this is a while back at the time of recording this podcast, where I was livid angry. I was just livid angry. I was between the mirror being broken and then this happened again. And when I talked to these people at the collision place, particularly one person was real sweet, but the people doing the repairs didn't seem very competent. And I knew I was having a histrionic or overblown emotional response. I remember lying there in the middle of the night one morning, and I mean, I was so mad, I just couldn't turn it off. My emotion was skyrocketing. I could feel my body temperature rise a lot. I got very hot, and when I'm really hot, I can't sleep. So I'm going to throw the covers off, and my mind is looping on how angry I was, and I was going to call. I thought I could call them and tell them, I can't believe how incompetent this is, and why can't you do your job, and blah, blah. And while I'm thinking this, and my emotions are skyrocketing, I'm thinking, and I thought that for a little bit. I paused. I go, wait a second. This seems melodramatic, histrionic. Why am I having this profound of an emotional response? It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad, because not that my truck is so valuable like my family, but it is my stuff, and someone's whatever, what's going on. So I had to do what I'm doing, what I'm telling you. I'd practice what I'm preaching. I had to say, well, I'm feeling these things. I'm feeling anxious, angry, frustrated, ticked off, all these heavy, heavy emotions. Why is that? So I started doing this cognitive behavioral therapy. I had to figure out what my belief is. Some belief is driving this immense emotional response. So my belief is I'm mad because they can't get my daggum mirror fixed. Okay, but why is that so upsetting? So what? Well, if they do this. And so I went through, to save you the time, I went through a few of these in my own mind that morning, and it hit me. I got down to rock bottom. My rock bottom belief was the fear that I'm being taken advantage of. And I have had other traumatic experiences in my life where I was very, very, very afraid, and I was in a pure victim state. And so one of my beliefs that I struggle with, and I have to give over in devotional and give to Jesus and on, is the fear that someone's going to take advantage of me. They're going to make me they're going to put me in a victim state. And that's one of the reasons why I hate bullying. Maybe I try to hate the bullies, though I have to struggle with that sometimes too. Try to love the bully, but I hate it. I can't stand it when someone's taken advantage of around me. I'm very defensive for other people, my children, my family, other strangers. I don't like it. I hate it. Watch it on documentaries, the news. I mean, random people run up and punching elderly people and other stuff. Oh my goodness. Just talking about makes me want to do things that Jesus wouldn't do. But it does. And that's because of my belief that people being taken advantage of is a big, big, terrible evil. And I don't want to be taken advantage of. Well, that was it. Well, now back to what I said a second ago. Once I hit that anxiety or fear causing belief, I attack it. Well, that was my belief. My belief is somehow I'm being taken advantage of in this situation. Well, I attacked it by saying, that's false. That's false. It's false. I'm not being taken advantage of. People can be incompetent. Yes, some person made a stupid, evil choice by ramming into me, probably an accident, but then not telling me. On and on, they probably didn't have insurance, so that's why they did it. Yeah, okay, but they weren't trying to take advantage of me. So the belief I have that I'm being taken advantage of is false. I'm not. I am a little bit in a victim state because I can't control when people run into my truck and whatever, and it's extremely annoying in my life because now it's taken, and I want, and that leads me to another thing about I hate having to run around doing thousands of little micro jobs, and all this stuff is not my fault in the first place, but it's still being taken advantage of. So I attack that belief. I say things like, thanks for trying to protect me, but that's false. I tell my beliefs, shut up. That's false. I'm not whatever that belief is. I'm not being taken advantage of. That's exactly what you need to do. Whatever's causing the deep worry or anxiety, the panic, whatever, maybe it's boundary problems, whatever the issue might be, you need to get to that root basal belief and attack that belief. Attack the belief. I cannot overemphasize this because I've done this in counseling for hundreds of hours with people. What most people do is they don't attack the belief, they attack the symptom, or they attack the other person. They don't deal with their own feelings because most people have bad boundaries. They think their emotional state is someone else's problem. And that's not what you should be doing. That's not what we ever should be doing. Here's another example, and I don't think she'd mind me saying this because it's not that big a deal. My wife struggles for various reasons. She struggles sometimes with perfectionism, trying to just be perfect, get it all done perfectly. And it doesn't matter for this podcast, but I could also tell you the reasons why she's afraid of that. I know exactly why she's afraid of making a mistake. But she does have the belief inside of her, and various versions of this belief, that I have to be perfect. Or sometimes it's in the negative. The belief is I cannot make a mistake. And because of that, when she works, when she does almost anything, it causes a lot of anxiety. So if she has, let's say, a report due and the report wasn't perfect, or an email, or someone says we need to work on this, or whatever it might be, her anxiety might skyrocket. Or maybe there's a meeting coming up and she might get afraid that, not that something has been said, but just the meeting's coming up with some authority figures, and the anxiety might skyrocket. And we go, okay, why is it? Well, what she used to do, and still does a little bit, but used to do, and this is very normal for people to do, is they do all kinds of things to deal with the symptoms. She might, or people like her might just try really, 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 really hard to be perfect. To some people, she didn't, but some people just self-medicate. They might get drunk. They might get on drugs. They might do some other addiction to help calm their anxiety. They might smoke. Smoking's very, very, very common way. Or vape to deal with anxiety. All these are bad, unhealthy ways to deal with anxiety because you're not dealing with their anxiety. What you're doing is numbing your physiological responses to it. You're not dealing with the problem whatsoever. If my leg were swollen black and blue and I'm limping everywhere I go and I go, just take a bunch of Advil, it'll be okay. Well, that's stupid. You might help with the throbbing a little bit, but you're not fixing the leg at all. So most people do that. They mostly just try to be more whatever the issue is. If you're scared of that Hispanic person, you always avoid them, or whatever it might be. You just really go all in. Or you see my point. Another thing people do, very common, is they just blame someone else. They just take it out on someone else. So if they're really nervous, what they do is they go, well, I'm only nervous because so-and-so is a punk. So-and-so's mean. And if so-and-so weren't so mean, then I'd be better. That's a very, very common defense mechanism for people, is they put their joy, the responsibility for dealing with their issues and having joy in life, it's on someone else's fault that they're this way. There's numerous defense mechanisms anybody can do, and my wife does some of those too. But one a long time ago, and every once in a while, we have little mini therapy sessions because I love her, and when she's in the right mood, she wants to do it too. No, I'm not a therapist, but when I see her hurting, we go through this a little bit together. So now, for example, just the other day, she was feeling very, very nervous about, I think it was some meeting or something. I mean, just very anxiety, very high. I think she even had a hard time sleeping or something and concentrating at home. And I said, what are you afraid of? Now, I know what she's afraid of because we've talked about this several times. But it's usually easier for a person who's on the outside than the person in the middle of it to see the scenario. It takes a lot of practice to be able to get outside of yourself and be an observant self. But anyway, we've covered this so many times. It's not news to me. I don't throw my hands up every time and say, let's start from scratch. It's going to be the same thing because that's what human behavior is. So I said, what are you afraid of? Well, I think blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, that's not what you're afraid of. She goes, well, I think maybe. I said, no, that's not what you're afraid of. Well, I think. And I said, no, that's not what you're afraid of. Elaine, what are you afraid of? And then she paused. She said, I'm afraid of making a mistake because I believe I've got to be perfect. And I said, there you go. And as soon as she said it, you should have seen her shoulders loosen up. And then she said, because I don't have to be perfect, right? And she knows this because we've talked about this a billion times. I go, right. You don't need to be perfect. You can't be perfect. Let it go. You're trying to be flawless. You're trying not to make a mistake. And that's a dumb goal. Nobody's that way. When you do make a mistake, even if you really offend or hurt someone's feelings, guess what? You'll deal with that too. So what? So what? They'll get over it. My wife is so sweet, and she would never do something deliberately to hurt someone. So whatever they're hurt, offended, upset, well, they'll get over it. That's just their problem. It's not because Elaine's a punk. It's because they've got some other issue that they have to deal with themselves. And that's their responsibility to deal with their own feelings. And that's what I mean by attacking the belief. Go straight to the heart of it. So let me repeat myself. You might not know what the heart of it is. You might not know what the belief is. But if you will go through the process of getting to that root belief, and you might need help on the outside, you can get right to the heart of it. And when you do, as soon as that anxiety or that fear or that anger or the whatever, as soon as it surfaces, you attack the belief, not the symptoms. You don't try to fix the other person. You don't try to blame. You don't do the defense mechanisms. Go straight. Oh, that's why I'm feeling this right now. I'm feeling this right now because I'm afraid of being taken advantage of. That's what it is. I'm not being taken advantage of. So you address it. You go straight to the belief. Straight to it. You say it. You label it. You identify it. Put your finger on it. Picture it in your mind. Oh, that's the belief. Bring it from under the water to the top part of the water. Make it conscious. And it's no longer in your subconscious. It's a belief. Now, quick responses to that. If you've had these beliefs for a long, long time, like all of your life or from childhood, it's going to be very difficult to eradicate them. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. But you can. And even if you don't fully get rid of the belief, you can diminish greatly how much it affects you. Yes, you can. If you have a kind of severe belief or severe anxiety-producing belief, you will need some therapy to help you through it. But do it. Do it. Talk to counselors. Read the books. For crying out loud, you don't have to spend the rest of your life nervous around Hispanic people or scared of being perfect. You don't need to. If someone hurt you when you were a child, molested you, you don't have to spend the rest of your life in prison for a crime you didn't commit. You just don't need to. You don't have to. There's help. Another thing is, well, David, this seems so strange to me and bizarre to me. I've always been scared. I've always been anxious. What do I do? One thing that really helps me and helps people when they do it too is picture a person who does it well and pretend you're them. Screw how you feel. Who cares how you feel? Pretend that you're this other person. I can tell you exactly who the first person was for me in my life. When I first started learning about all this stuff and boundaries and whatever, it was in my master's degree. And there was a professor, Doug Dickens. He taught me this, pastoral care and counseling. He introduced me to it and taught me some. And then I spent the rest of my adult life reading and learning about it. But I remember distinctly in my life saying, WWDD, what would Doug do? His name is Dr. Doug Dickens. And I remember saying, what would Doug do? Oh, he would just shrug his shoulders and go, whatever. In other words, he wouldn't get worked up about this. Now, that seemed as strange to me as me being an Asian woman. I'm not an Asian woman. I'm picking on the most bizarre, for me, different, I don't know, an Aboriginal Australian or what. That was so, an alien, a Martian. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it's like to be that person. But I pretended to be him. I faked it until I maked it. Because you can't let your feelings dictate your behavior. The feelings are surfacing because you have false beliefs, but you're trying to eradicate the false beliefs. So if you make decisions based on your feelings, based on a false belief, all you are doing is reinforcing the false beliefs. You can't do that if you want to get better. So don't do the thing you used to do. Do the thing that you think a perfectly well-adjusted person might do. If you don't know any perfectly well-adjusted people, pretend what they might be like. Maybe there's Dr. Phil on the TV show. Pretend, what would Dr. Phil do? Read the books that you could read. Read those books and go, oh, this must be what it looks like. And pretend. Don't do the thing you used to. It's like ignoring a nagging, scared little you. There's a movie called A Beautiful Mind. It's awesome. Russell Crowe, and it's based on a true story of a thick biography of Robert Nash, brilliant mathematician, taught at Princeton for years and years. And he was schizophrenic and other things too. Schizophrenia is when everybody in the media, everybody gets this wrong besides specialists. Everybody. Schizophrenia is not when you have different personalities. That's personality dissociative disorder. Schizophrenia is when you have a very difficult time distinguishing between fantasy world and real world. And so they make up imaginary things and think it's real. For some reason, it tends to be the case that there's comorbidity or co-sickness with paranoia and schizophrenia. So people who imagine scenarios where they're actually also paranoid. They're being chased, they're being hunted, they're in trouble, whatever, but not all the time. Anyway, he was schizophrenic, and so he imagined a lot of things. And he also was a paranoid schizophrenic. But in the movie, he's got this little girl, and then an older white guy, and then a middle-aged white guy. These pretend characters. He thinks they're real the whole time. I know, newsflash if you haven't seen the movie. But anyway, it's outstanding. But the huge, momentous turning point in the movie is when he's telling an old professor friend, when he says, "Are they still there?" He goes, "Yeah, they're there, but it's like a diet of the mind. I choose not to indulge in them." So you see them in the movie. You see what he sees. They're still there, but they're in the distance. They're about 20 feet away, and he doesn't talk to them anymore. He doesn't indulge in them. That's what it needs to be like, kinda, with you and your old self. You need to pretend in those moments when you attack the false belief. You name it, claim it, label it, attack it. That's false. That's nonsense. And I will not choose a behavior that like I used to in self-defense or blaming people or smoking or sex or whatever it might be. I'm not going to do that because that will reinforce the false belief. 3, I'm going to act like someone who doesn't have this problem at all. I'm going to act like a person who's not an alcoholic. I'm going to act like a person who doesn't struggle with these things. I'm going to pretend like an imaginary friend who's nagging me for attention. I'm just not going to give it to them. I know they're there. I recognize they're there. I'm not going to play with them. I'm not going to play with them anymore. You can also look at yourself like a child. Picture looking at you, time traveled, basically, whatever. But you're looking at yourself when you were a kid, and he or she, whatever you are, and scared to death, or angry, or sad, or petrified, or whatever, and you look at him and say, "I'm so sorry you're scared, or you're angry, or anxious. I'm very, very sorry. It's just that you're scared for no reason. There is no boogeyman in the closet. I'm sorry you are scared, but your fear, your scaredness is not based on reality. It's false. And so you keep nagging me for attention. You keep telling me it's time to run. And so you're making me anxious. You got to stop. Stop. There's no boogeyman in the closet. It's a false belief. Your fear is justified based on the false belief. Sure, the problem is the false belief, so knock it off. No, you don't make decisions for me anymore. That fear, that panic, that anxiety doesn't make decisions for me anymore. Well, I sure want it to, David. Right. Well, pretend that it doesn't. Pretend you're someone else who doesn't struggle with that little child nagging on you. Well, there's a boogeyman. No, there's not. No, there's not. I cannot overemphasize how important beliefs are. I'm telling you, you've got beliefs in you right now that you don't even know are there. Your parents put them there, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, authority figures, teachers, preachers, pastors, whomever. You did what you've read, the news, you get them all in you. The question is, are you aware of it? No, you're not, because it's like the iceberg, it's beneath the surface. Healthy, mature people spend their lifetimes analyzing, looking deep under the water and trying to figure out the beliefs they have, and healthy people decide whether or not they want to keep those beliefs or not. Do I really want this belief? If I don't, I'm going to falsify. I'm going to stop it. And so I'm going to replace it with that true belief and go from there. So there's your iceberg analogy. Friends, do not give up. Don't give up. This can take some time. Might be a lot of tears. Might be a lot of fear involved in the process. Great. So what? You can cry and get over it. You can. You can make it. You can make it. The worst case scenario is you have a lot of tough feelings. Yep. And if they're really, really deep embedded, and it's really terrible trauma from your childhood or adulthood, doesn't matter when, if it's terrible trauma, I'm begging you, go see a Christian therapist. Get some help from a trained professional to help you a counselor, someone who walks alongside you and helps you sort through all this. Get the literature. There is healing on the other side. God will use it to bring you out and set you free. God bless you. Well, the conversation isn't finished. You can always reach out to me on social media. Are you on Facebook? I am too. At Glimpse of the Kingdom. Glimpse of the Kingdom on Facebook. Be sure to like it and you can see updates there. Also, if you're on Twitter, check me out at Dr. D. Pendergrass, at Dr. D. Pendergrass, or at Glimpse the King, at Glimpse the King. And I try my best to respond to comments and questions on there as quickly as I can. If you want more, there are many more resources on the podcast and my blog. Go to my website, davidpendergrass.com, davidpendergrass.com, and you can see a full list of the podcast, and my blog is available for free. Are you active in a church right now? I'd be happy to come out to your church and do all kinds of classes and workshops there. Check out davidpendergrass.com, davidpendergrass.com for more information. And may God in His great grace give you even just a glimpse of His kingdom this week. See you next time.